City of Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission meeting, recorded May 7, 2024.
It's 2 o'clock, so we'll call the May 7th, 2024 Police and Fire Commission meeting to order. Since I am the secretary of the commission and our president abandoned ship last month after many years of service, I am in charge for the moment. Candy, would you please call the roll as presented to you?
Kirschling.
Here.
Rozick. Here. Ostrowski.
Here.
Zenner.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
And with that, I would like to do two things after the roll call. Number two, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Jason Barron. Jason, if you would please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Born in Wisconsin, around the Milwaukee area. Moved to St. Louis as a kid. Came back here in 1984, where I went to Washington, PJ's Spash. And then I took a football scholarship to Northwestern University, where I played there. Bounced around the Chicago with many different industries, healthcare, publishing, etc. And then I was able to relocate back here in 2016, where my wife and I started a family. So I have two young boys, 8 and 5, almost 6. And yes, I've been very active in the community. Seeing a lot of changes, a lot of kids and stuff, so safety has always been a big issue with me because I plan on being here for a long time. So,
Thank you, Jason, and once again, on behalf of the rest of the commissioners, welcome.
thank you.
And I'd also like to acknowledge that Alderperson Mary Kneebone has been reappointed by the Common Council to be her troublemaking self with us. Mary, thank you for your service and
Any
look for.
big trouble you need, call me.
I do want to make arrangements for my driveway to be shoveled, so I'll talk to you. With that, item 3 on the agenda is the election of president and secretary. And with that, I would make a motion to elect Joe Kirschling as the next president of the Police and Fire Commission. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And with that, do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations for the office of president? Third and last call, do we have any other nominations for president of the commission? Okay, with that, I would then say that we have Joe
We have to vote on it.
to be nominated as president. I would ask for a vote. I think we can do this orally. I don't think we have to do it written. So all in favor of Joe Kirschling being the next president of the commission, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. With that, Joe, I will turn over to your first tour of duty.
All right, thank you, sir.
The cripple section is down here.
Bob, thank you very much. Hard shoes to fill, I'll tell you that right now. With that, I want to nominate Bob Ostrowski as the secretary for the Police and Fire Commission. And I need,
Second that, Morozic.
all right. Anybody else? Any other nominations? All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. And those opposed? Hearing none. Bob is the secretary. Next on the agenda is, I'd like to ask Denise Morozak if you'll be the liaison for fire.
Yes.
Okay. Tom, will you be the liaison for police?
Yes.
All right. The only thing I would have in the president's report is to thank my fellow commissioners for the confidence in me to fulfill the responsibility of the president's position. I appreciate it. Thank you. The next item is approval of minutes. Does anybody have any questions?
Recommend we motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second by Morozic.
All right, any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. The next thing is confirmation of bills.
And
Yep, Bob, do you want to?
I can wing
Touch on
our
that.
way through that. If you got it, you should have it in your packet. The first one up is the police department. Nothing strange stands out, other than I would like Chief Cusseau, if you could explain about the 8th item down, Celebrate, what that is. An expense of $6,100. I believe it's an annual expense.
It is. It's a investigative tool that our detective bureau uses. It's software that can identify anything off of a cell phone. So anything that's deleted or anything can actually be brought back. And again, it's an investigative tool for our department.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And for the benefit of our new member, there's a second page behind each initial monthly bills of the running total, and I reminded that that is 1 month behind, so you need to take the running total and add the current one to it to get your true assessment to date. Fire department, nothing unusual there, and for me to point out, there's no unusual other than, again, repairs seem to be the thing that bite us in the backside. But you can't do anything about it. Repairs are part of life. And then the ambulance service, I was going to have Joe talk for about 3 hours on this, but he shortened up the needs list, and again, they're splitting part of the repairs. That's the only thing. So with that, I would recommend the passage of the bills as submitted.
The second? Kirschling will second. Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 7, discussion with possible action to approve overlapping the number of officers to 47 in anticipation of retirements and resignations in compliance with policy 5.05, sub 1, sub B. The relative rank and positions of officers of the department shall be as numerically designated per chief of police and shall consist of no more than 49 sworn personnel to include 1 chief of police. Chief?
For policy 5.04, back in 2018, it was brought to the commission's attention to increase our manpower to 49 or up to 49 officers. That had gone through the commissions, and it also went through council, and everything was approved. So per policy, it states that we can have up to 49. As everyone is aware, we've been down 2 to 3 officers over the entire year. We've been going through the hiring process 3 different times throughout the year as well. Getting qualified candidates is extremely hard at this point. And we've got an individual who is resigning November of this year to go into law school. We also have an individual who's going to be retiring in April of next year. The hiring process that we're doing right now, it looks like we may possibly have 4 out of this group that we could offer employment to that are qualified. What I'm asking for is if we can get 4 out of this group, if we can hire up to 47 to cover that individual that's going to be retiring in April or May of next year. I asked that for a couple of reasons. First of all, the overtime associated with hiring process is extensive. People are getting worn out from the hiring process as well. And if we can go an entire year next year without doing the hiring process and having somebody ready to go when this officer retires will actually be really helpful to our department. So I'm just asking for approval to go to 47 for approximately 3 to 4 months.
And do you want that effective as of today, so if you move forward with that?
That would be great.
Okay, all right. I'll make the motion to approve the hiring of 47 officers effective immediately.
I'll second.
And I just want to say that I want to reiterate what the chief had said is council has approved financially up to 49, but we have not been provided the finances. So at some juncture that needs to be addressed. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Next, support to apply the Bureau of Transportation Safety Grant.
Yes, as you all are aware, we do have some speed boards that we had purchased several years ago. They're very expensive, and we send that out to alders, and alders get back to us and let us know where their constituents have speed-related issues. We put those boards out throughout the city. We put them on ghost mode, which means that people think they're not working, but they're collecting data. And then what we'll do is we'll actually activate them. And so if it's a 25-mile-an-hour zone, if they're going 30 miles an hour, they might flash red and blues. They have been very successful for us in the past. And we obviously had the terrible accident over on West River Drive this year where an individual was struck by a hit and run. Some of the complaints that have come out of that is the speeders in that area. And so what we're doing is Lieutenant Ben Eitenbrook had reached out to the Bureau of Transportation, and they requested that we put in for a grant for $31,000. It's actually $31,963.34. That would be for 2 additional speed boards and a trailer board that we could put throughout the city in different areas. The 3 that we use now are consistently out and being used, and so we don't have enough to cover the city when we're requested. And so I'm just looking for your support to actually follow through with that and put in for that grant to see if we get it.
Are these areas already identified, or are they chronic use, or is this also to determine other areas of the city that could be a problem?
Yes. Most of the time right now what we're doing is we're actually getting suggestions from alder individuals about the locations of where speeders are. The issue with the city is a lot of times the speedings are consistently throughout the entire city at the same exact times. Beginning of school, people going to work, people coming back from school, lunchtime, and so we have so many areas in the city. Again, we have 6 to 7 officers working. We can't be in all areas, and so this is just another effort for us to try to put it out in areas where we know that there's concerns of safety. Church Street obviously is one. West River Drive is another one that came to our attention recently. Highway 10 East is another one as well.
In the perfect world, what would the number that the city could actually use?
How many speed boards?
Yeah, and in like these areas that are kind of identified.
Ideally, it'd be incredible to get permanent speed boards like they have on HH over by McDill Elementary, where they're consistently there on solar panels. But again, they're very, very expensive. As you see,
Right.
$31,000 is only covering 2 speed boards and a trailer.
Yeah, I would just be curious to know, and maybe that's something you could get back to us to know, like, what would that ideal number be?
Absolutely.
Chief, real quick, what's the time on the grant? What's the timing on the grant?
They're going to be bringing it to the Traffic Safety Committee meeting on June 4th. As long as you guys approve it, to support it, I should say. They'll be bringing it to the Portage County Traffic Commission on June 4th as well to get their support, and then they'll be putting in for it June 4th.
Okay. Will we know by fall?
Yes.
Okay.
Chief, one time I was trying to figure out here, the budget, it says for 10,000. Is that in addition to the 31,000? I mean, or is that what you have to spend on speed enforcement now?
Speed enforcement, we get a speed grant throughout the state, and we actually do it with the county, and so we separate that speed grant between myself and Portage County. And so we have individuals that come in specifically for speed enforcement, just like the safety belt enforcement.
And that's what the 10,000 is used for?
Correct.
Okay, so the grant itself stands alone for 31,900.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's no match to this grant.
Could you, since I'm new, could you educate me? So we put a speed board up, you collect that data, and if it's a problem, which chances are it could go either way, right? Somebody sees the speed board and slows down, or if there goes one, then do you then patrol that area more?
Correct.
Okay.
And it gives us, obviously, it's 24/7, and so what we need to do is we need to identify when those problems arise, so we can put officers in that area during those times. And the speed board's in ghost mode, identify if it's happening at 11:30. They're very specific on exact times. And so if the majority of the speeding is happening between 3 and 5 p.m., we know that we can send officers there between 3 and 5 p.m., and that's when the majority of the speeders or the speeds occurring.
Very good.
I'd like to make a motion to support the police department's endeavors in securing a grant through BOTS. And is there potential for more grants coming through in this where we could expand that motion? Or
Not for this particular grant, but this year we're actually looking at a lot of grants, trying to get some money, because obviously budgets are extremely tight. But we're trying to obtain more money so we can buy equipment such as this, so we can put it throughout the city.
Okay, just clarify my motion then to support the police department's endeavors in securing grant money through BOTS and other transportation related or speed enforcement related grants through the state.
I would second that motion.
All right, we have a first, or a motion and a second. Any questions, comments?
I just have, it might be a dumb question. Is there a program out there where you can lease or rent these things? No, I'm not trying to take away the money. I'm just curious for educational purposes.
I have to be honest, I don't know if there is or not.
Okay, I was just curious.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 9, the police chief's report.
Just really quickly, I just want to go over a couple things that I highlighted in this. I sent this out a little while ago to all of you as well, to Alder Kneebone. On the beginning of this month, we did interviews for the hiring process, and we did have 6 going into the backgrounds as well. 2 are actually out of that process. We're down to 4. We ended up doing a tour here about 3 months ago with a family that had an individual that had MS. And we ended up pushing them around on a wheeled chair so they could see the department. And I realized that was obviously oversight on our part, so I reached out to Key Mobility and asked them if they could create a wheelchair for us and build one. I gave them a price range on what we wanted to spend here, because I think we should have one here at the police department just for those purposes. And we're not going to have to use it very often, but it's nice to have one here. And on the 16th, they actually reached out back to me, told me that it was built specifically for us. Myself, Assistant Chief Rotier, and Assistant Chief Dana Williams went to go pick it up. And when we got there, they actually stated that they wanted to donate it to us. And it's over $1,000 chair that they donated. So Key Mobility really stepped up and graciously donated that to us. On the 17th, Quick Trip donated $1,000 to the Stevens Point Police Department's K-9 Fund. On the 18th, Officer Marshall and K-9 Willow, the therapy dog, and Lieutenant Johnson attended Ben Franklin Junior High Career Fair for 9th graders. On the 21st, you may have heard, we've been getting a lot of complaints about Icon Tavern here downtown. We do normal bar checks with people that are working on the road. Icon, we ended up finding out that Icon's occupancy level is actually 417. The owner believed it was 1,127. We ended up calling in 19 officers to hit that bar for officer safety, and that night we were able to get 37 underagers out of there. We missed several of them, obviously, because it was extremely crowded, but the detail recorded 37 underage citations were issued, and the tavern was issued for a 3rd offense for providing alcohol to minors. Our negotiating team, we have a joint SWAT team with Plover Police Department. Our negotiating team has dwindled down by quite a bit through retirements. So we reached out to Portage County Sheriff's Department, and we did an MOU with them, and so we have a joint negotiating team with Portage County Sheriff's Department now as well, and Plover Police Department, so it's one team. The other thing is Lieutenant Johnson's been working with Gamber Johnson, and it's called the National Night Out. It's going to be taking place here in the city on August 8th, and it's going to be taking place in the fields up off of Red Arrow, and it's going to be an event where anybody in the community can come to that event. It's about neighborhood unity, awareness, building police community relationships as well, and they're teaming up with Gamber Johnson for this night out, and then after all the events take place, there's actually buses that are going to be bringing them to the Wisconsin Raptors game in Wood County or Wisconsin Rapids, and it's going to be all free to those individuals that attend the National Night Out as well. And the very last thing I want to talk about, on April 7th of 2023, we had an officer-involved shooting here in the city of Stevens Point. The officers that were on shift that night worked incredible. They did an incredible job. And because of their effectiveness from that evening, the Wisconsin Professional Police Association honored them, and they ended up giving a Valor Award to Lead Officer Alex Beach and to Officer Gardman, who actually returned fire to that individual. And the entire rest of the shift, which was Lieutenant Brian Brooks, Officer Kim DeRoser, Officer Cody Stankowski, and Sergeant Paschal, all received a team award for their efforts that night on taking that individual into custody through the WPPA down at the Kalahari on the 27th. We received a really nice plaque, which actually is hung up in the foyer right now. And that is it for the chief's report.
Chief, could you talk a little bit about the RAP? I think it's important for the community to know some of the tools that we have that have made headlines throughout the years, and
Yes.
what your department is doing to
I did put a picture in there of
help
me
your
in the
department.
RAP.
Oh, that's a nice picture.
So it's called the RAP restraint, and it's something that was brought to our attention. We still have hobbles that we can use that we actually put around individuals' feet, but we can't, as they used to call, hog tie anymore. Individuals, it can hurt their respiratory system, especially if they're in excited delirium. And we heard about this RAP, and so we invited the fire department attended, Plover FD attended, UWSP attended, Plover attended. And the RAP system is used instead of the hobble restraints. It's a Velcro wrap that goes around the feet, and then it goes around the legs to secure them. And then there's a harness that goes on the top, which actually puts them like in a sitting position, and therefore there's no pressure at all on the chest. They can breathe. Believe it or not, when you get into this position, like you saw in that picture, it's extremely comfortable. You can relax and you don't fall backwards or anything. And so we reached out to CIVMIC, who's our insurance policy, and we have a risk mitigation account for $2,500. And we asked them if this is something that is for the safety of officers. It's also for the safety of those individuals that are not in control of themselves. And they stated that that's considered risk mitigation. And so partial $2,500 of that cost of the RAP was actually covered by CIVMIC, our insurance company. And we ended up getting
Very
two
good.
of them.
So again, ideally, what would be, we've got two, what would you be looking to have this in every vehicle and for the fire department too?
Yeah, ideally, it'd be incredible to have 12 to put in every single vehicle. I think the fire department was actually really impressed with it as well, because once you're in that position, we ended up putting a larger individual in it that's probably 275 pounds, and two of us lifted them very easily and walked them around. But yeah, I mean, ideally it'd be that much, but it's almost $1,600
A wrap.
a wrap.
And is this something that the people who've gone through the training, are you now able to train the officers from what you've learned going forward?
Yep, and
Okay.
so the training that was put on for us, we actually became trainers. Myself, I'm a trainer, Assistant Chief Rotier is a trainer, Alex Beach is a trainer, Lieutenant Joe Johnson. And so what we're doing is we're meeting with each of the shifts right now on duty, and so we can train them in there, and we've got two shifts that are trained already for the RAP.
One other question I had in regards to the citations for Icon Bar. So you said this is the third one. What is, I guess, to what point does it come to how many citations to actually, issuing
We obviously have a
revocation of a license?
We have a nuisance ordinance, but again, that's 3 events over 3 months, and lo and behold, it's always over the 3 months. So we've been working with the city attorney, and it's going to be brought to council. I believe they renew in June or July, and it's going to be brought to their attention about the issues that we've been having at ICON. And it'll be up to the council at that point to make a decision on suspension, canceling their liquor
Okay.
license or whatever they want to do, but it's up to the council.
Okay, and that you said it comes up
I believe in June, the end of June.
And then the last thing I wanted, to just if you have any, as far as with the parking, I know that you've met with UWSP, any thoughts that you can share on that, what they're
Yep.
looking at? Because I'm sure even in the outlying areas with our community officer and ticketing, and it's becoming,
Yeah, UWSP reached out to us because they're going to be having a lot of work and construction being done at the university over the summer and next year, and so they're losing like 300 parking spots. Obviously, we can't find 300 parking spots for them, but Lieutenant Joe Johnson's working with Scott Badoon, and they're coming up with certain parking lots that aren't being fully used, and we'll probably mark off a certain amount of those parking stalls for them and be charging them, just like we do if they were parked on the road.
Mr. President, one point of order here. I see there's a Quick Trip donation of 1,000, and then there's the wheelchair that just says 1,000. Does that need formal?
It's not on the agenda, though.
Oh.
So I
Can-
think next month,
What can I say? So anything that's donated to the K-9 or the auxiliary does not need to go through the PFC. And Key Mobility, it was not a cash donation, it was just the wheelchair itself.
okay. Yeah, maybe we can, you're pretty sure on that? That we don't need any
Yes,
approval?
I'm positive on
Okay,
that.
all right.
Okay.
All right.
I did have one question on, again, on Icon.
Yes.
It was a couple months ago, we had a homicide downtown
Correct.
related to some underage, or I guess young adults. And I'm not directly linking, obviously, those individuals to this particular place, but they were from Wausau, I recall, when we're looking at these 37 people that were found. How many are local? And maybe I don't want to put you on the spot here on that, but are we seeing more activity from outside the area, not just local individuals?
Yes, I will tell you that the 4 individuals that were involved in that incident came from Wausau to attend Icon Tavern.
Okay.
All right, do we have a,
The wrap, like, can you transport people in the back of your, and you can easily put them in the back?
Yep.
Even if they struggle, you don't have to worry about hitting their heads or anything? like
Yep,
that?
there was actually, I didn't have the picture of me in the helmet on there because that looks a little too funny, but there's actually a full helmet that comes with, so anybody that's being transported has to have the helmet on as well.
Chief, additional units of this, is that going to be placed on the police department's wish list?
It will be on the wish
If people
list.
want to make donations, they can be directed towards that?
Yes, absolutely, that's on a definite wish list.
Very good.
do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the police report as submitted.
second by Morozek.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, further comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Police chief's report is passed. Number 10, discussion with possible action to approve probationary firefighter paramedics Brianna Windsor and Madeline Avery to the position of firefighter paramedic with the completion of their probation effective May 7th, 2024 and May 15th, 2024.
That is correct, Mr. President. First of all, probationary firefighter paramedic Windsor had an extended probation since November 7th of 2023, where she has showed us what she's made of, and with knowing that this is her position to lose. And she stepped up to the plate and has sacrificed a lot over the last 6 months and has continued to lead by example as a probationary firefighter. And again, this is just one more reason why these types of extensions, when I come forward to the Police and Fire Commission, they really do work. So with that, I look forward to seeing what she can do in the future, and I would ask that the Police and Fire Commission, effective immediately today, May 7th, put her into a permanent firefighter/paramedic status.
Chief, could you introduce which one she is?
Sure, Brianna, do you want to come up? I'll put them both on the spot a little bit. Yeah, we'll move you over to the lectern.
This thing.
So probationary firefighter Windsor started with our department in November 7th of 2022. She went through her year of probation. We wanted to keep her on just with what she had shown. We felt that it was appropriate to extend her probation by 6 months to make sure, instead of letting her go, make sure she has what she needs to be a rock star firefighter paramedic with our program, and she has shown that. And so I'm in front of you today asking to make her a full-time firefighter paramedic with our department effective today.
Okay, do we want to separate two different motions? Or do them all together? Let's do them separate.
All
I
right,
think
we
that's
can do them
important.
separate.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to move probationary firefighter Brianna Windsor to permanent status effective today, May 7th, 2024.
I'll make a second on that, Mrozek.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any questions, comments?
I just commend you, for, what Chief has said, to staying the course. Sometimes things, challenges can present themselves, but very impressive. And I'm glad that you're a permanent part of the fire department. Thank you.
All right, let's vote on it first. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against? Hearing none, motion moved. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Second motion?
The second,
We did have a second.
I know, but are you gonna do it again?
yep, so our second probationary firefighter paramedic with us today is Madeline Avery. She walked in the door to our department and found her niche shortly after being hired. And she has expanded on that and has continued to work hard. And I really look forward to seeing what she does at the department next. Our probationary firefighters, their main focus and their objective while on probation is to understand and learn how to be a firefighter paramedic with our department. Once they come off probation, she's going to be assigned programs or be put on committees to assist other members within our department in order to move the department forward. And I know that I can really task her with some large projects moving forward and get her onto some extensive programs or into some more complicated or on some more complicated committees. So with that, I'm asking the commission, pending no issues and her final review of the officers of the Stevens Point Fire Department, that she comes off probation May 15th of 2024.
Chief, when did she start with us?
May 15th of 2023.
I'll make a motion to move probationary firefighter Madeline Avery to permanent status effective May 15th, 2024.
Pending no issues and final review.
Pending no
That's the
issues.
motion.
I will second that motion.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Questions, comments?
Chief, when you're saying about being put on, I know there's several different committees within the fire department. Do we wait until the year, or I thought Madeline was already working on some of them?
What we'd like to do is, we, again, like to try to keep them just working on their firefighter paramedic status during that probation. If they find a niche, like I was talking about her early on, they can get involved in those things as long as we don't see anything going backwards. But knowing that she now is off probation, we try to ask the probationary firefighters what they would potentially want to be involved with. We have found that if they have a niche for it and they like it, we move forward with that. So now we're going to be moving forward with a few things, and hopefully she finds some things that she would like to continue to move on. And she's more than welcome to talk right now.
Yeah, it would be, I mean, do you have any particular things that you're really looking to get on the committee or lead or?
Well, I'm currently kind of the only member, but of the ultrasound committee. I'm trying to work on potentially getting ultrasound on our units. Our scope of practice right now is pretty limited, but it would be a really helpful tool with confirming cardiac death. It kind of gives you that peace of mind of knowing what you're doing a little bit more.
Right, and I asked that because I was there when she was demonstrating that, as a probationary firefighter paramedic to the rest of the members on your crew. And that was very, very impressive, that already at that stage that you were, taking the lead with that, so.
And ultrasound is something that we've tried to get on the ambulances for many years, and she stepped up to the plate and has really ran with the program and with the tool. It's another tool in our toolbox, and I know the firefighter medics, they like it, and she's getting into it, and that's what we need. We need firefighter paramedics to step up, bring new materials, bring new policies and procedures, bring new tools to the table, and then it's our job as the PFC or the chiefs to make sure that we fund those things and we get them the time and the training that's needed to bring us really to the tip of the spear.
Do we have a retention program, like, or a bonus? Like, obviously, she's going to be very, she's going to be smart and maybe lured away. We want to keep her here, right? So. Correct.
So in the union contract, there are step promotions for our firefighter paramedics. So when they first are hired, they're hired at a certain percentage of a full-time firefighter paramedic. And then every year for those first, and then they have 3 steps moving up, they receive 5% more on their base wage. So there are some incentives up to a certain point, and then depending on where you move in the department, and I was going to actually showcase that in our annual report, many people have stepped up this last year to appointments, either as motor pump operators, field training paramedics, promotions to lieutenants. There are increased pay levels with that stuff as well.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, next, the presentation of the Fire Department's annual report for 2023. Chief?
So this year we did our annual report a little bit different. As you can all see, it's more into a book or a magazine format. And I just want to say, before we even get started, I appreciate everyone's assistance in this annual report. Many people wrote articles within this report within our organization to explain what's going on in different areas. And then making sure we met all of our timelines. And then ultimately the biggest thing was putting this together, and it would not have been put together if it wasn't for Karen Baxter, our administrative assistant within our department. She spent many hours putting this annual report together. So I really do appreciate what she has done in her time with the department as well in organizing things like this, because they just wouldn't happen without her. Some of the big things I would like to point out, on page 8, you will see our new org chart. I know there were some positions that had changed title and a few things that had been added. We've also, we talk about adding the deputy fire marshal and emergency management coordinator underneath the division chief of the bureau. We obviously have battalion chiefs now running our shifts. We have field training paramedics as well on each crew. So that there's been a lot of change, and things are going well. Another big thing I'd like to point out is on the personal data, page 10. The average person's age in the Stevens Point Fire Department right now is 35 years old, and they have 7.7 years of service. We are a young department, and we're going to continue to get younger. So for a while, those numbers are going to be kind of shocking when you look at a new fire department. Also, I'd like to point out on the next page under personal data, the promotions. I'm so pleased to see so many people continue to step up and lead within our department, accepting these positions in promotions to lieutenant, appointments to field training paramedics or motor pump operators. Without them, it just, again, the department wouldn't run and function the way it does, and they are key people within our organization to make sure that it continues to run smoothly. Under page 19, inspection division, or underneath the bureau, we last year inspected 1,876, or we did 1,876 inspections. Some of those were initials, some of those were re-inspects to clean up some violations. You'll see the top violations to the right of that. But when we first created that bureau, we had 900 to 1,000 inspections that we were doing. The Bureau has really stepped up its game. We have seen a significant increase in the expectations for the city, the expectations within the department, and everything is working well, and it's been going very successful. Under page 23, we wouldn't be able to function if we didn't have grants. And we wouldn't be able to have the tools we have without the men and women of the department stepping up to write these grants. First of all, finding the grants, taking the time to write the grants, submit the grants, and then after it's all said and done, actually taking the ball and running with it if we've actually been selected for the grant and seeing it to the finish line and putting these new pieces of equipment and tools in operation. Last year, you can see $266,481 we received in grants just for these 4 grants that are listed within the annual report. Now, there are other grants that we received as well last year, but these are some important ones that we want to show and capitalize. We just recently put out the press releases on the Firehouse Subs grant, $34,000 in hose and nozzles. The FEMA grant, $228,750 for new self-contained breathing apparatuses. We just continue to move forward with better equipment, newer technology, and again, it's because of the men and women who are at the Stevens Point Fire Department doing an excellent job. On page 24, CISM and peer support, we've got that in our annual review now. I'm pleased to announce that this last year, we've increased the number of trained peer support members and CISM members within our department has over doubled. And they're going to continue to keep up on that training. And we recently just went with what the police department has done in the past. We're starting our neck up checkups annually for every member within the organization. And so they're going to have that opportunity to sit down and talk about their experiences and what's troubling them in life or at the department. So a lot of good things within the annual report. Again, I'm just going to say it. You all know it. The EMS side of the house continues to run smooth. The fire side of the house continues to run smooth. That's because of the 2 assistant chiefs that run those operations. And again, our call volume just consistently continues to go up.
Very good job, Chief. Any comments, questions?
I'd just like to comment on the one thing on the inspections, Chief. The 1,028 fire code, I don't think that should be looked at as negative. I think that should be looked at as something positive, because if you're a business person or whatever, a school, whatever, that's one less chance you got of having a fire or a disaster. So I think that's really an important thing. That's really an improvement in the city.
Well, and I can't agree more with you, because when we talk about the Stevens Point Fire Department mission statement and what we're doing for the members and for the community when it talks about training and education and risk reduction, this is risk reduction. This is assisting with keeping those businesses safe, keeping the community safe, and just keeping my own members safe within our organization. And that all has to do with DC Sinner, who's sitting here today as well. Division Chief Sinner runs the Bureau and runs these programs and is top-notch.
I think it's absolutely, I remember back in the 70s when we had like 14 fires in a matter of 12 months. You know, nobody wants to go back to those days. Everybody wants to stay safe. That's one reason you have a department and you want the most. And seeing the bills, I see what training and what equipment costs. And that's fine with me, even as a taxpayer, because that means I'm safer, my community's safer, and my family's safer. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, and I just want to commend you too for where you've, since you stepped in as chief, for where you've taken this department, and down from your leadership team to the line staff. There's just been definite noticeable change within everyone coming together. So I wanted to, point that out to you too, that I think it's noticed with all of us, it's noticed within the community, and things are definitely continuing to go in that right direction.
Thank you. But really, that's on them. They each shift, and the members, I got 2 probationary firefighters sitting right here. They create the culture on their shift. They create, the good and bad. We're there to help them. We're there to move things forward. But it's really been the people that we've hired are good quality candidates. They're good people, and we continue to bring those types of people through the door, and that's what's going to make a good department. And so it really is, they're doing it. I just happen to be taking some of the accolades and, the pats on the back.
Right, no, and like I said, it's absolutely noticeable when you walk into that fire station, just the positive attitudes, the camaraderie of, the line staffs when you guys aren't there. It's very, very impressive, and you're right, they have created that culture, so it's noticed.
Thank you again.
We don't need a motion, so we'll move on if there's nothing else. Move on to the fire chief's report, EMS report. Chief?
So under the fire department, or under the fire report, this last month we did have a significant fire at 1616 Main Street. When we initially got the page, it was a working fire, smoke and flame showing with a potential of people trapped. This was a fraternity house that was just off of campus, and we worked with our investigation team within the fire department, the IB department from the police department, and their detectives to be able to conclude that this was a case of arson, and very quickly apprehended the individual and have them behind bars on a $250,000 cash bond. So again, it's just not the fires that we're putting out, it's the before and after of what we're doing, and I cannot do it without people like Assistant Chief Zavara, Deputy Chief Ewing, who stepped up at that fire and worked with IB from the police department, and a lot of other people to make that happen so quickly. Another big thing I'd like to point out is our training building has been assembled down at our training site, our burn building. It is a 3-story burn facility. It has a burn room on the first floor and a burn room on the second floor. It allows us to be able to go in and train with active fire and to be able to keep it under somewhat of a controlled environment for our new people to be able to see more fire and how it acts. So it's a great addition addition to our training site down off of Water Street. The third story also has a rappelling area so we can work on roped operations and technical rescue. It also has vertical ventilation props where we can get people up on a simulated pitched roof to cut holes over the fire. Again, a lot of hard work went into that and getting that assembled. Battalion Chief Hageman seen that to the finish line and really appreciated that. We did a department pancake breakfast for our past and present members. Went really well. And then lastly, again, just wanted to point out that Firehouse Subs grant, $34,000+ on nozzles and hose, and it wouldn't have been possible without people like Assistant Chief Zavara, BC Hageman, Lieutenant Zander, and MPO Thompson. So they've done a great job. On the continuum report, you'll see on the second page that, again, call responses are still up. They're not 50% anymore. They're down to about 37.34% of an increase from last year. We're still up 30-some%. We did see a drop, though. You'll see a negative in the 33.33% for overpressures, explosions, overheated, no fires. I know that was a question most of the time the PFC has, well, what kind of fires are those then, Chief, or where have you seen that cutback? And that's more on like burnt motors or belts on HVAC systems that blow smoke in the buildings. So those fan belts, they're filter issues with filters that are in different types of systems and HVAC systems that we get called for. So those types of calls are actually down a little bit in our department. I'm going to switch gears and move over to EMS. EMS training continues to move forward at the Stevens Point Fire Department. Training. Again, we go back to our mission statement. It's training, education, and risk reduction. So we train our members, we educate the community, and we try to work through that risk reduction aspect. But not only are we doing training with our members in the Stevens Point Fire Department, I want to point out that you can see we're also out there with other first responder groups doing training. We're sending our members out there to work with other organizations to make them better, to make them be able to understand things and give them what they need, tools in the tools box, a little bit more education, and to make this system in Portage County run smoother during that transition from moving from the first responders or EMR groups to our ambulance when we arrive on scene. So a big thanks to the members of the department. I know Chief Gemza has been out there and handling and coordinating, getting our firefighter paramedics out to those first responder groups to help support that. And it definitely is being noticed by those communities, and they appreciate the support they're getting out there. I'd also like to point out under the EMS reports, we just recently changed our districts for our ambulances and how Medic 1 and Medic 2 respond and where they're responding to. So you're going to see those numbers start to change a little bit and evolve over time. You're going to see the year to date in 2023 versus 2024 only up, 8 or 7 runs at Station 1, but you're going to see a significant change in the response for Medic 2. That's because we've given more area to Station 2, but it has not affected our response times or how we're getting to our patients. What we're doing is evening out the call volume between the two houses. And so we continue to look at that as we move things forward. And then lastly, emergency management, again, is now under the fire department. So they are going to be providing a report as well to the Police and Fire Commission. They have come up with a new city logo for EM that has been created, and they're moving forward with that. The after action report for the ice event that occurred in December went well, and that report's out there. We had that report given at last month's meeting by Deputy Fire Marshal Malin. He continues to maintain our sirens within the city, and has been continuing to educate himself in ICS, EOC interface classes, and other things that potentially an EM coordinator for the city would have to do. He does have a good background in public education and fire. It was not as strong in emergency management, but has really taken EM to heart and has been continuing to educate himself and move that program forward within the city. So with that, if there are any questions with the three reports, fire, EMS, or EM, I'll take those.
Chief, under EMS, a couple of questions. One is, first of all, thank you for the emergency management report. I was hoping this was going to become regular, but the positioning of ambulances we have under our control, we have 5, right? Which ones are at which building? Or where are they located?
So, Medic 1, Medic 3, and Medic 5 are at Station 1. The odd numbered ambulances are at Station 1, and then Medic 2 and Medic 4 are out at Station 2. And how we operate those apparatuses are Medic 1 and Medic 2 are staffed 24/7, 365. And then as we need to put a 3rd, 4th, or 5th out ambulance, depending on what district it's in, to provide the quickest response and the best quality of care, we then shut down one of our fire apparatuses. If it would be a Med 3 call, we would take the lieutenant and firefighter off of the engine at Station 1 and send them out on Medic 3. If it's out at Station 2, Truck 22 closes down. The driver and the lieutenant jump on Med 4 and head out the door. And when we get to sending Med 5 out, you might see Chief Gemza or myself or one of the other chiefs in the back going on that call, but we will provide that service to our community.
But Unit 2 and 4 are at Station 2, 1, 3, and 5 are at Station 1.
That is correct.
Okay, and my other question is on the training with other departments. Is this per their request, and is this other ones that are members of our metro? Is that who we're working with?
No, not necessarily. They may, Hall is under the Stevens Point response area. Okay, so they are a part of Metro when it comes to the fire side, and we do assist them with, or they assist us with an EMR response in the town of Hall. Dewey is part of our EMS response. So this gets more into where we're responding EMS-wise in the first responder groups that we work with.
Certain ones are under your control, right, Joe? Under your
Yes,
training?
and then there's others that are under Amherst, and there are others that are under Plover.
Well, these would be just ones that are affiliated with us normally.
Yes, I'll go anywhere.
Yep.
Okay, so other units can, if they see it's working and they want to request, we're more than happy to work with
We're
them.
more than happy to go down, and I'll go anywhere that they're asked to.
Because I noticed in some articles, they'll give the units responding, and sometimes I'm going, wait a minute, that's in a city, but there was a unit from Hull or Dewey.
Well, that would be that's a fire.
No, but I mean, I think there was a crash or an ambulance recently that there was some assistance. Maybe I'm wrong, but I did notice the cooperation. I was just wondering, and then in return on the training, you're open to doing anybody under your control, plus those if they request it.
Yes.
If you're within the boundaries of Portage County, we'll be more than happy to come out and do training for you, work with you, the whole thing. Because it's a system, and that's kind of why it's whatever your availability is.
Thank you very much. That explains a lot to me.
Okay.
Chief, I have a question. Do you ever rotate the medics to keep wear and tear or disperse the wear and tear and mileage between all the medics?
The medic units, the ambulances? Yes, so all of the ambulances are owned by the county, and county highway department actually coordinates that, and they actually, every day, we're out there doing checks on our apparatuses. We do more extensive checks. We're making sure that we're documenting mileage. We're documenting hours on those motors, and we're putting all that together in one of our systems. And then the county is actually managing that and looking at those things and how much we're repairing apparatuses and where our problems are. And they will adjust where those ambulances need to be and what is first out, what is maybe a reserve apparatus, and move them around appropriately. But yes, the highway county department handles that. with the reports that we're giving them.
And Joe, our new ambulances are on order, right?
I am proud to say the chassis are being built right now.
You will advise me when one shows up.
I will advise you when one shows up, and I will let you know when they start building the box, because right now they're building the chassis.
I appreciate that. That's been a target of my whole time on the commission.
All right.
Make
Anything
a
else?
motion to approve the fire report, EMS report, emergency management report, and place on file.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Well, any more questions, comments? None. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And we are adjourned.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.